everyone, I'm Alex and I'm the hands behind Lovecraft Crochet. My plushies are for the anxious, depressed, autistic, and neurodivergent. Small enough to travel in a purse, backpack, diaper bag, or even your pocket. You can check out my Facebook page or TikTok to see what patterns are available and stay tuned for the new ones coming out. I also make hats, scarves, blankets, and dice bags for the tabletop gamer or dice goblin in your life. Feel free to order through the page, TikTok DMs, or via email at love.craft.crochet@gmail.com. Now, on to the segment.
Urban legends, missing heaven, hookman coming for you, missing 15 minutes. Mothman's flying at you, missing 15 minutes.
Hello and welcome back to Missing 15 Minutes, the show where we take folklore out for a quick spin before the cryptoids start charging appearance fees.
Cryptids?
Yeah.
You want to retake that sentence?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how much Bigfoot makes on appearance fees.
Too much. That's why he never shows up.
I'm Sam Rossi, reading a script written by AJ Carey, who promised not to write in any Australian accents, but that doesn't mean I won't. It's fun. No. I don't know how to... oh, fuck. I don't remember an Australian accent now. Today we're diving into Australia's most mysterious legendary creatures. The Bunyip. A swamp monster so confusing, so contradictory, and so dramatically aquatic scientists basically shrugged and went, sure, why not? The Bunyip is a creature deeply rooted in Aboriginal Australian stories, described in dozens of different ways, often depending on the region. Which, if you haven't figured out in our past episodes, is code for nobody agrees on what the hell is going on.
I mean, yeah.
Aboriginal stories describe the Bunyip as a creature that lurks in billabongs, swamps, creeks, and waterholes. It's typically said to be a large, amphibious, dangerous, and extremely territorial. But the physical description? They're all over the place, like wildly. We are talking a great seal, a hairy crocodile, a dog-faced emu, and my personal favorite, a creature with a horse tail, flipper's tusk, and a duck bill. Basically, if you made a platypus into a final boss. Yeah, I totally...
I know, that would be your favorite. That's why I said my personal favorite.
Yeah, that is my favorite. I have to
You always
agree.
like the weirdest ones.
That's because it's... to me, the weirdest ones could be possible.
The ghost plesiosaur?
No, that one I wasn't. The ant was the one I believed.
Oh, you're right. The ant tunnels.
I wanted to know more about the tunnels. But.
Hey, bottom.
Boat. There are a few traits that carry over. A booming call heard from miles away. A sleek or short-haired body. And eyes that glow. Sometimes. Depending on who you ask. Honestly, the best way to understand just how broad I mean, just go over to Google and do an image search for the Bunyip. It's wild. How quick you just have a more cat-like panthery view to a toad with razor teeth to what eldritch horror Gerald Markham Lewis.
Gerald Markham Lewis.
Gerald?
Gerald, yes, that's how you spell Gerald.
Gerald Markham Lewis drew in 1935. Wolf and a half there.
1 second. Take a breath. I'm going to pull you up. This is the eldritch horror that I was referring to.
I would have put that more as like a Salvador Dali.
No, that's the person who drew it.
I understand that, but I'm telling you that looks more like a Dali than it looks like a Lewis.
Well,
I'm just saying. Anyways, where were we? The word bunyip comes from the Wimba language and roughly translates to evil spirit or devil. However, there's some contention about that sort of translation, since in pre-colonial Aboriginal traditions, the bunyip functioned more as a spiritual guardian of waterways and more of a warning figure than some sort of monster.
I don't like when you talk like that.
You tell me to get into it. I'm getting into it. What, you don't want me? You want me to go back to reading it like this?
I mean, you didn't fuck up less when you talked like that.
So to take another research digression, because AJ likes doing that, Everywhere cites a pamphlet from the Sydney Gazette in 1812 as the first written account of the bunyip, although not spelled the normal way. However, there's currently no evidence that it actually happened. By that I mean there's no primary source, as in the actual pamphlet from the Sydney Gazette available. This seems to come from a 1920 citation of an article about the bunyip in the Bedouin Desert Times.
Buddhacert, I think, or Bodacert.
I think that's desert right there.
The Bow Desert?
Lodi Desert. I was right the first time I said it.
Anyway, were you?
I don't know. So anybody who wants to come over and tell me how to actually say this, you can send me a voice recording over on Facebook or at carryonprod@gmail.com. Now, there's the very valid potential that this is just lost media, but given that most people use it as a source, while using the description the article gives nearly to a T is a tell. So if anyone asks why we aren't talking about that, it's because it's only reference to a reference everybody keeps repeating verbatim.
And that's something I do just want to say, is that it is so frustrating that, like, this 1920s article says this 1818 pamphlet that no one actually cites as existing other than this one article is used by every fucking source for the bunyip, and it's like that's not how research works. Now I know. Okay, in folklore spaces, especially in cryptid and all that, you have a pseudoscience thing where it's like,
but there is a paper trail.
And that's the thing that always gets me about anyone. And yes, this is me generally bitching about pseudoscience, because I could argue it's the exact same thing that happened with the anti-vax community. Okay, Andrew Wakefield puts out his fucking paper, his first study of going, hey, we didn't actually conclude this, but I want you to think it is, so I have a PR team and not a science team, and the only source he cites in his anti-vax thing, which wasn't even anti-vax, you know what it was? It was anti-MMR, because he also had the patent on a measles vaccine that he patented 6 months after this study was made. But the only source his paper cites was from a dude who wasn't even a doctor at the time, who said that he could cure autism by making a fucking vaccine or some sort of, cocktail you inject into autistic people from his own bone marrow.
We should do an episode on myths of autism.
But that's what I mean, this is what every time I talk about misinformation, this is sort of like, this is the light end.
I know.
No one's going to die because some random, blurb cites this thing that probably doesn't exist, 100 years later.
Correct.
But it's that sort of inability to have research by themselves that turns Nessie from a big fucking fish to a plesiosaur. Point is, always research and make sure everything's referenced properly. Fuck!
That isn't to say it couldn't exist, mind you. After that, I'm not sure if I want to exist. Well, the article being cited is from about 100 years later. The 1800s was most definitely when the Bunyip crosses over with Whitey. I phrase it that way because, my God, just some articles, when the bones are discovered, come off a bit condescending, to put it nicely.
Oh my God. This is something else that if you are a researcher, the casual racism is what gets me. You just read what I wrote.
See, the earliest record I could really find that wasn't a reference from the future was 1845 with the discovery of bones in New South Wales. No, it wasn't a murder thing. That'd be a Killing 15 Minutes episode for later. Really? Anyways, no. Back to this. But rather, they were very clearly large animal bones. Newspapers were running wild in what were like giant amphibious creatures, enormous mammals, or monsters of the inland march. These were dubbed bunyip bones, mostly because the Geelong Times ran an article about the bones on July 2nd, on the bones being shown to an intelligent black.
Now there's commas there, remember?
He at once recognized it as belonging to the bunyip, which he had declared he's seen. I know it's some of the tamest race-related condescension, but damn!
I'm just saying, we found a black guy and made sure he was intelligent enough to speak, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Okay, back to the bones. It's safe to assume they asked an Aboriginal, which is where we got the first verifiable use of the word bunyip. That wasn't just people's last name. Yes, that's a thing I had to hear AJ bitching about during research. But it was the bones of an extinct ancestor of the wombat. The Portodon.
The Protodon.
Sure.
You're welcome.
That's why I keep you around. You use words that don't make sense, and then I try to put them together because hooked on phonics fucked me up.
Je suis un jeune fille.
No, I said hooked on phonics, not Rosetta Stone.
It wasn't Rosetta Stone. I can't remember, but it was that 90s. It was a stupid 90s commercial.
I know what you're talking about.
Every time I think hooked on phonics, I think either the jingle or I think Je suis un jeune fille. I am not a little girl. By the way, that's French for I am a little girl.
Yeah.
Well, I am a girl. Je suis un petite fille would be I am a little girl.
At least I think that's what it turned out to be. At least I think that's what it turned out to be because the 1830s and 40s were awesome when it came to paleontology and zoology. Then again, the Sydney Museum had a bunyip skull that was a deformed calf head.
Thrilling, right?
It's only coincidence that the 40s and 50s were also the height of bunyip sightings, of course. Well, what else are you going to do in the 1800s on a murder island, on Convict Island?
Find out how to release cane toads, obviously. I know that was the 90s, but
That was
the 1900s. I think it was the 60s. 60s or 70s.
I want to say 70s, but all I picture is Bart Simpson going, "Sorry, I can't take you with me." Where are we? The major factor to look at here isn't whether the bunyip is real. Cultural memory handed down orally for millennia, seeing a seal and being shook like those people in Scotland. It's hard to try and say whether it's a real cryptid or what you have when there's no definitive answer to what it actually was. The native Australian culture hailed it as a general spirit and would ascribe the term to several things. But white Australians would take the word and make it humbug. I don't just mean that it became an answer for every slightly strange sighting or bones discovered, but I actually mean it became synonymous with nonsense. You're welcome for also giving the definition for humbug, too.
You're welcome.
And no, I'm not going into modern bunyip sightings because ultimately that can also fall into other categories of cryptid, especially if it's essentially, I just saw a shadow in that water.
Yeah, and if you're in Australia and you see a shadow in the water, why is the first thing you're thinking, oh, that must be one of them bunyips? I didn't say I wasn't going to do a poor accent. I never said it would. I just said I wasn't doing an Australian one.
Today, the bunyip remains a powerful symbol in Australian folklore, featured in children's books, pop culture, and countless tourist attractions. Which is wild because the legend basically boils down to don't go near the water or a murder platypus will drag you under. And it's really wild game to look at the attractions named for the bunyip and how different it is. And it's not like, here's a variety of different ways we could show off a frog. Just straight up different creatures. The deeper meaning behind the bunyip, though, that is about respecting nature, honoring sacred places, and understanding the dangers of the land, which is important. But like with the bunyip lore, generally gets ignored for what'll garner more attention. Why are we? Okay, so the bunyip is a spiritual guardian for waterways because everything in Australia is trying to kill you.
Kind of. I would think it more like water spirits, very similar to how Europeans would have
the Kelpie.
Like the Kelpie.
That's how we got a plesiosaur in Scotland. Don't you remember?
No, I think everyone should go back and listen to our Nessie episodes and see where I just decided to kind of accidentally walk into my own trap here.
I can't believe you did too.
I'm AJ Carey.
Thank you for missing 15 minutes with us today. If you enjoyed the dive down under, leave us a review, share the show around, and keep your feet out in mysterious waters. And remember, do not go anywhere near stingrays. I'm Sam Rossi.
I'm AJ Carey.
Later, y'all.
Missing 15.
Keep on carrying on.
C-A-R-E-Y. Because
Carry On Productions.